I like Eric Spoelstra. I mean, I don't
Dude,
know.
he's yeah. Spoelstra's he does not get the credit, but he's a great coach,
He's
and
such a
and
he's such a good coach.
he knows LeBron better than pretty much any coach in the league. So
It'll be
I mean,
interesting seeing him and Jimmy go back and forth. But I mean, I think
yeah,
the Lakers are the better team.
Jimmy's like their fourth leading scorer right now.
Yeah, I mean, he's like the best glue guy you could possibly have. Like, I mean, he's like a superstar glue guy.
It'd be great. It'd be great to play with Jimmy.
Yeah, absolutely. But all right, welcome to the Mind of a Coach podcast. These are your hosts, Coach Nathan Moran and Coach Asa Duvall. Asa, man, you're looking great today. I'm excited to have you as always. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Nate. I'm good, man. I really like we're recording it on Tuesday nights now, and I really like doing that because it kind of has turned into my hump day. So I feel like once I hit Tuesday night and I get to talk to you, and Wednesdays are kind of my slower days. So I feel like I can get by for the rest of the week. So I'm good, man. I'm doing really good. How are you?
I'm great. It really does. It really does. I mean, I feel like if I make it to Tuesday, it's just downhill from there.
Exactly. Everything's running smooth after that.
Hey, so what you got for our historical fact of the day?
Historical fact of the day. Let me pull it up on my phone real quick. Actually, the TSU men's basketball page just posted this. So did you know that Tennessee State has the most Harlem Globetrotters of any university with 14? So shout out to Tennessee State.
What?
Yeah, 14 Harlem Globetrotters, man. So I didn't know that. I'm sure you didn't either, but shout out to the Harlem Globetrotters.
I sure as heck did not know that. That's a great stat.
I know. Isn't that pretty cool? I had no idea.
I had absolutely no idea. You got anything positive for us? I mean,
Yeah,
that's
man.
pretty
It was my mom's birthday yesterday.
okay.
So happy birthday to mom. I didn't post a picture of you on Instagram. Sorry, but I figured I'd shout you out on my podcast. I think she turned 26
Mhm.
yesterday. So mom, happy birthday
That's
to
kind of
you.
weird because aren't you 26?
Yeah. She keeps coming down in age. I don't know how she does it, but happy birthday, mom. Love you.
Hey, hopefully we can have the same genes as our parents
Yeah,
because
no, exactly.
my parents or my mom's birthday is on Friday as well. So,
Oh, is it? I didn't know that.
yep. So, hey, you know what? That's my weekly positivity as well. It's funny
Yeah.
you said that one because I was going to say the exact same one. Weekly positivity. Happy birthday, mom. You are the most amazing person, and I'm glad and lucky to have you in my life.
Happy birthday, Miss Moran.
Yeah. So, hey, this is week 2 of the best segment of our podcast. Asa, what do you have to get off your chest today?
All right, Nate. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry to bring baseball into this. I'm sorry to the baseball community out there. I'm not trying to offend anybody, but Nate, golf is 10 times more exciting to watch than baseball. It just is. Golf.
What?
Oh, Nate. Golf is not even
It's your hey,
close.
go ahead. Go ahead.
It's not even close, Nate. Golf is 10 times more exciting to watch than baseball. Baseball can get now, I'm not saying it's not fun to play baseball. When quarantine started, my dad and I, we went out and we threw baseball in the backyard like old times when I was 6 years old. But golf is so much more exciting to watch than baseball. Baseball gets boring at times, okay. And I know you got to play golf in order to really get into it. But, man, if you get into golf, and all I want to do now is watch football and golf on the weekends. If there's a good golf tournament, I am tuned in 100% of the time. It is so much fun to watch. It is exhilarating. I know I sound crazy to most people out there. Sorry, baseball community. I apologize, but golf is more fun to watch than baseball. It just is. It had to be said.
You definitely got it off your chest. And I'm excited for that because I don't necessarily agree. Now, do I agree that golf is the most exciting thing for me to play these days? 100%. I
Absolutely.
There's nothing I would rather do on a weekend or even if I have time in a weekday than go out and get on the links, play some
Oh,
golf,
man.
get in 18 holes. I mean, or even 9,
Well,
just hitting the golf
it's
ball around.
also golf is the toughest game I have ever played. I mean, it is far tougher than basketball, far tougher than football, far tougher than baseball. It is the toughest thing that I've ever played because you're competing against yourself the whole time.
Yeah, I completely agree. I shot a 96 and felt great about myself. I was like, wow, I am a great golfer. I shot sub 100. I've really got it rolling. But I will say this, Asa, is that
Yeah.
baseball, the regular season and playoff baseball, two different things. And
Agreed.
I don't know if the fans are going to play a part in for instance, hockey. Like I didn't I didn't really keep up with anything hockey this year because there was no fans. I feel like hockey is such a sport where you need fans. And I
Hockey
feel
is a
like
great postseason sport. It is.
yes.
You do, and the fans help a lot. I'm not even. I'm not going to lie. I had no idea that the Stanley Cup Finals was last night. I mean, I got the notification that I can't even remember who won, but I was like, oh wow, I didn't know there was an elimination game in the
Yeah.
Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah. I mean, the Lightning beat the Stars. I'll go ahead and tell you that.
Yeah,
But
thanks.
I mean, I consider myself a hockey fan,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just like, man, it's hard to watch without all these fans. I mean, because it goes nuts when the Predators were in the finals, and I
Yeah,
think
that was.
2017. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, it was nuts. And
Mm-hmm.
so all of a sudden, it's just like no fans. It's like, man, I can't even watch it on TV. It's almost too
Yeah,
boring.
yeah,
And so I
yeah.
feel like the same thing is probably true for soccer or baseball. Is like
Mm-hmm.
if there's no fans, and I hope it doesn't impact baseball in the playoffs the way it did hockey.
Yeah,
So I
yeah,
guess that's my hope. But I understand and I respect your what you had to get off your chest this week.
yeah, man. Thank you.
But all right, Ace. So I'm gonna get into so what we're talking about this week, and we're going off the same series, is we're talking about playing time.
Mm-hmm.
Last week we talked as basically coaches talking to players and 3 keys to playing time, how to get more playing time, how to act when you're not getting as much playing time.
Mm-hmm.
This week we're going to be talking to parents, and
Uh-huh.
that is going to be something different
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like not too many people talk about it or want to talk about it. It's an like we talked about, like having a talk with your coach last week. This
Mm-hmm.
is just an uncomfortable conversation, but I think parents will be able to find it so important and so meaningful to them if they have something that they can go off of.
Yeah.
So that's why I thought it was important to do this podcast or this little episode of the series, and why you agreed with me and we kind of talked about it. But anyway, so I'm going to get into my 3 keys for parents about
Let's
playing
hear 'em.
time. All right. So number 1 on the first key is when you're talking to we're talking to parents is, and I'm not trying to sound harshly. It's gonna sound a little harsh at first, and it's gonna get to more what can I do? But this is just from experience. One is you are not helping when you're going to talk to your coach for your kid about playing time. You are
Mm-hmm.
not helping. When you go to a coach and complain about playing time, you are basically telling the coach, you don't know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
So Asa, I'm gonna put myself in a parent's shoes right now. I do not have a son, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to act as if I do. Okay. So
Uh-huh.
imagine me as a basketball coach. I was upset that my son did not get a raise in his accounting firm.
Yeah.
Okay. Or a promotion. Let's say a promotion, just for the sake of it.
Mm-hmm.
What would I naturally do? I would become upset. I'm just thinking as if I was a parent, I would become upset because I love my kid to death,
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
love my kid to death, and I would do anything for him, and I think he could do anything. I mean, I think that's, as a parent, you believe your kid can do anything his heart or her heart desires to do, they can do. But for this instance, I'm going to say my son. So I decide that I'm going to talk to his boss
Yeah.
about this promotion, and I say to this boss, listen, I do my own taxes. I do my own budget. I know about money. I know how this whole accounting thing works. My son should have gotten that promotion. You must not have known that he was top 10 in his class in the accounting program at ABCD University.
Yeah.
I mean, we have those conversations so much as coaches. We
Yeah.
this These parents are telling us that this coach that works with our son and or daughter every single day
Mm-hmm.
does not understand what their value is. Like,
Yeah.
listen,
Yo,
go ahead, go ahead.
it's crazy when you put it like that. I mean, I'll be honest. I got fired from my first job out of college,
Mhm.
and if my parents would have gone and talked to the people that fired me, I would, first of all, I would be incredibly upset that they tried to do that. But it
Sure.
would look super weird. Why would they? You don't do that. It just when you put it the way you put it, it puts it into perspective for parents, I think.
Yeah. And that actually kind of leads into number 2. And once again, it's a little harsh at first. What I'm trying to say is you are enabling your child And I'm not saying, because I think what this could come off as is I'm coming at parents and that they are just hurting their child, when really they're like, as a parent's perspective, is you were trying to help your child. You want your child to be as successful as possible. But
Mm-hmm.
in turn, by going and trying to talk to this coach for your child, you were enabling them,
Yeah.
because you're basically saying it is okay for your kid. I mean, it is 100% okay for your kid to want more playing time.
Yeah.
I want my kid, whenever I have a child, to want to be as successful as possible in every single thing they do. So
Mm-hmm.
for them to want more playing time, 120%, they should definitely want more playing time
Yeah.
if that's what they want to do. But you need to be able to allow your kid to grow and help them understand that, one, you are going to have tough conversations, which we talked about last week.
Yeah.
And those top conversations are going to be with coaches. You're going to have to be able to go and talk to coaches. And if they don't give you the correct answer or the right answer that you want to hear, you're going to be able to have to live with that. And that kind of leads into my second part of enabling is you are not going to get everything that you want in this life.
Right.
Whether it is basketball, whatever it's your job, if it's a girl, boy, whatever you want. I'm talking from a girl, or I digress. But you're not going to get everything that you're not going to get everything you believe you deserve, even though you might have worked for it. You might have
Yeah.
worked for it. So one, and I think it's too common right now in the game of basketball or even our society, is that at that point we just make excuses.
Yeah.
Well, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. DMGB. It doesn't matter. Get better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead and improve. Go ahead and improve. Use this as a learning opportunity to go ahead and improve yourself. So parents, instead of enabling them, which leads me into my third point, empower them. Empower your kids. I mean, it is such a huge part of what some kids are lacking, is trying to dictate every single move of their life instead of empowering them and allowing them to make the best decisions possible. And that's just the way you raise them.
Mm-hmm.
So one, you can turn these obstacles into teachable moments. I think you and me can both speak on it, is that we have experienced failure. We've
Right.
experienced times of success and we've
No doubt.
experienced failure. And during those failures, we can either sulk on it or we can make the most of the opportunity. So I'm just talking about a real life moment here. If you don't get a job, what should you do? Should you be like, that boss didn't know what he was talking about, or I didn't get a promotion, that guy chose that guy because he just likes him better?
Mm-hmm.
But what can you do, Ace? In my opinion, you should work so hard that your next boss or that current boss has no choice but to choose you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, go ahead.
Yeah. I was just going to say, my dad always told me, don't give every reason for your coach to keep you out on the floor. Just
100%.
Don't leave any doubt in your coach's mind. Give him every single reason possible to where he has to have you on the floor.
And bang, that's a coach. I mean, that's a parent's perspective right there. And that's what a parent should be saying. Because if you were not playing and your dad looked at you dead in the eyes and said, give them every single reason that you can't, I guarantee you went and worked your butt off and were like, I'm going to give them every single reason, because it's your own dad that told you that.
Yeah. Yeah. And kind of back to your second point, like if Coach King always would say in high school, like if a parent would come up to him, my son should play more or need more playing time. It's okay. Well, based on what? Like, is he better than so-and-so? No, he's not better than so-and-so. Well, can he shoot it better than this guy? No, he really can't. Well, is he in the gym after practice getting up extra shot? No, he's not. Is he coming in the morning and getting up extra shots? Nah. Is he going hard in the weight room? Nah, he's not really doing that either. So as a parent, you at least have to know that your kid is doing the most in their power. First of all, don't have that conversation, but you can't just blindly go into a coach and just be like, well, my son deserves, my child deserves more playing time.
Correct. And that goes off my number one, Ace, is when I said basically, like, you're not helping because you are trying to do the job for the coach that has been there every single day. And that's what you just said. Like, these coaches are with them every single day. They know who has put in the extra work. They know who has not. They know who can help the team rather than who can just score or who can just rebound. because it's a team game at the end of the day.
Yeah, certainly.
We
No
could
doubt.
have 3 people that can score, then that's all they can do.
Yep.
So which one are you going to choose to be on the floor?
Yep. Yeah.
Probably not the third scorer that can't do anything else, or maybe not the first scorer that can do everything. You're going to find him minutes, but he might not be playing as much as the second scorer that can score, rebound, pass, play
Mm-hmm.
defense, like that can do it all, and that helps your team win. So I think too often as parents, I think that they can get in the perspective of my kid is so good, and there's times they really can be. They can be like your kid might be really good. He might just not be fitting in the system. And that's what goes into number 2 is you are enabling, let your kid have the opportunity to go talk, let them grow in that. But
Yeah, you gotta be realistic with your expectations of your kid. Like, I mean, I remember when I was playing AAU going into my senior year, my AAU coach asked my dad. I wasn't around for this conversation, but my dad told me, and it was like, where do you? Every parent thinks their kid is going to Kentucky, Duke, North Carolina, UC, the Blue
sure.
Bloods. Every parent thinks their kid's going there. And my props to my dad. The coach asked him, well, what level do you think your son can play at? And he was like, I think he can probably play at a Belmont or a Lipscomb or a mid-major, something like that, at that level. So when I'm saying that, at least my dad, he didn't have unrealistic expectations for me,
Yes.
which is a huge thing, because if you're constantly telling your kid, oh, hey, you got to go to Kentucky, you got to go to Duke, you got to go to the highest level possible, you're going to set them up for failure, because most kids don't get the opportunity to go to a level, to go to that level, right? So all you're doing is just feeding them this garbage that's going to fill their head with nonsense and unrealistic expectations.
I completely agree with you. And I hope that more parents listening to this can have the opportunity to take a step back and evaluate, not as my own son, but as a player in general.
Yeah.
Because as a parent, we're called to love. We're like, you're called to love, you're called to raise your kid and hope and believe in them more than that they can possibly do, believe in them even more, but also be realistic in what they're able to do. So I completely agree with what your dad did, but this is like my third, it's still an empower, and it's let your kid know that character wins. And this still goes back into our last week's segment about playing time for players. And it's, if the conversation, let's say I went in and have the conversation with a coach and it did not go the way I wanted. He said, this is what you have to do. And I took it like, whoa, that's not what I thought I was going to hear. Right. Well, there's 3 parts of this. And it's 1, you need to be able to take criticism. We talked about that last week, be able to take criticism. And what I mean by that is learn, just be able to learn what you can do better, because once you can learn what you can do better, you can start acting on that. 2 is respond with humility. That might be the most important. You have to be able to take criticism and then respond with humility, understanding that you do not have all the answers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like if you respond understanding that you do not have all the answers, you're going to be able to learn and improve in things that you did not know that were even out there.
What's the saying? Like, in order to fix a problem, you have to acknowledge the problem first.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
right? I can put it. That's kind of simple way.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yes. You have to be able to fix a problem, but
Yeah.
first you must acknowledge the problem. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. And then my third one, which is, I mean, I said respond with humility might be the most important, but third one goes for anything in life, and it's love others. Gosh, you have to be able to love others, because I think we both speak in the times of when things were not easy for us, and we talked about that on the last podcast, but when it doesn't go your way, you still need to be able to love the coaches and love your teammates that are playing below you or even above you. And I think it's even harder. Love them even more.
Yeah.
Love them even more. And I know this is talking to parents right now, but encouraging your kids, listen, it's not going the way you want to. Character wins, love others.
Yeah, I believe you're right. I believe 100%. You said it's not going the way you want to.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing ever goes according to plan.
Nothing.
I mean, I'm a firm believer that nothing ever goes according to plan.
Really, though.
I had plans of college basketball that didn't work out. Had a job that was planned that did. I mean, but that's okay. Like, change is good. It's fun. Mm-hmm. It's a growing experience. You have to be able to take something from everything you experience. There's always a lesson in it.
100%.
The great modern day poet Jay-Z said, appreciate the loss. It's a lesson. So
Yes. Yes. But those were my three keys for today. To just retract, we talked about you were not helping as parents if you were basically, and which goes into number two, you were enabling. And three, what you can do is empower your kids to be the best teammates, players, and friend possible. So those are my three keys for today, Asa.
yeah, empower is a great word, man. That's a great word.
Appreciate it. But anyway, Asa, so we're talking to parents right now, and I just personally wanted to know because I think we both experienced parents that have impacted their child in a positive way and impacted their child in a negative way, which has impacted the team.
Mm-hmm.
So the first one I wanted to ask you was, do you have any stories, or how would you describe a teammate that you saw their parent impact the team in a negative way because they were not playing as much?
Yeah. I don't necessarily think that parents, they don't directly negatively impact the team. It kind of goes to what the parent is feeding the child. If the parent is feeding the child unrealistic expectations and putting unnecessary pressure on them, then it's going to show. It's going to show day in and day out in practice, in the games, in the weight room, in film. And their attitude when things don't go their way is going to be exposed. And so in that can in turn affect the team more so than any damage really the parent can do. But also, I think kids have to be strong enough to understand and mentally tough enough to understand that things aren't always going to go their way and to kind of block out the noise, whether that's positive or negative, because you don't want to buy too much into the positive. You don't want to get too high. You don't want to get too low. So it's important to try to block out whatever noise you can. I don't have a specific story. But
go ahead.
Parents, it's not a direct thing. It's more of a funneled through the player themselves.
Yeah. And I would agree with you because when I say not a direct thing, and I think, or when I asked the question, I kind of made it seem like a direct thing. Mm-hmm. It's your possible impact on your kid, which can in turn impact the team. And I have seen it personally where a kid is a great kid. He loves every single person on the team, but someone's feeding him wrong information, whether it's a parent or friend or trainer or whatever it is. And that determines how they look upon everything else that's going on in their team.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm going to give an example of myself, Asa. I mean, my parents are the best parents in the world, and they have, and maybe that's my personal belief, but
a little bias,
definitely bias. 99% truth though. So, so my parents,
people for the record, let the record show.
So my parents were always basically team. Well, I remember this one time my parents, I don't think the game went the way it was supposed to be. And one of my parents started saying something about the game in a negative aspect. And as their child, the way they raised me, I kind of nipped it in the butt because of the way they raised me, because they had never let me do it. And all of a sudden one of them did it. And I was like, I don't really want to talk about this. I don't want to talk about anything negative. Like, our team's good, blah, 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 blah. And they were like, you're right. Like, I'm sorry. Like, that's not the way I raised you. And what I'm saying is, because going on another story is, I did experience it in high school where we had a lot of talent on our team. Mm-hmm. And some guys were not getting to play as much. Some even really good players got cut. And they decided, and they thought the coach was out for them or stuff like that. In reality, it was just, we had really good players. We had a lot of really good players. And at the end of the day, in high school basketball, there's 32 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah.
In college basketball, there's 40 minutes. Mm-hmm. And as a coach, and in NBA, the 48, I believe. Mm-hmm. So, and at the end of the day, you have to delegate these minutes the best way suited for your team to win the games.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's hard because in elementary school, everybody was only allowed to play this amount of time, this amount of time,
Yeah.
this amount of time. And we developed that, and we give trophies for every single thing. You come in last place, you get a trophy. You come in third place, you get a trophy. Well, at the end of the day, as coaches, you don't get a trophy for coming in last place. Matter of fact, you might just lose your job.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. No doubt. No doubt about
As
that.
as as a player, you come in last place for 2 years. Guess what? A new coach comes in, you might not have your scholarship.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That happens. That happens very often.
So if you want to think about it as a parent, your kid, if you're feeding them all this and they're not playing as much, your kid might have a scholarship and be able to get through school in 4-5 years
Yeah.
free.
Yeah.
But if you're feeding them all this negativity and about how you should play, or how, you know what, that's not right, you should do this to your team, or like they're not treating you right, and all of a sudden you're a buzzkill on your team and you're negatively impacting your team.
Mm-hmm.
What happens when you guys go sub 500, don't win 10 games in college basketball for 3 years in a row, and all of a
Yeah.
sudden your coach gets fired? They come in with a new team, and you've been that negative kid on the team, and all of a sudden you're booted, and now you're having to pay for school for another year.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's just like that's a micro thing that like you might not even recognize. And obviously high school basketball might look a little different, but I thought that was a little point that I wanted to throw across.
Yeah, yeah. Kind of back to what I was saying, back to parents and what I was saying about pressure and expectations.
Mm-hmm.
You hear a lot of stories about parents only being proud of their kids when they perform well, or when they score X amount of points or X amount of rebounds, when they have a good game stat wise, right? And I mean, I think, and so there's that pressure to perform so they can please their parents early on, right?
Yes.
And I really think it's important for parents to tell their kid they're proud of them after a game. Now, I'm not saying don't critique them or try to, say, hey, you
try to
could
help them. Yeah,
better.
sure.
Yeah, try to. But I really do think it's important for parents to just tell their kids that they're proud of them, regardless of the points they scored, the rebounds they grabbed, the steals they had, anything like that. So I just wanted to throw that out there, because way too often you hear stories of kids, with a chip on their shoulder because, well, I had to please my parents or my father or my mother. And, I only heard them say they loved me or they were proud of me after I performed well. And so I really do think it's important for parents to just, even if you just want to say it as simple, hey, I'm proud of you. You played hard tonight. And if they didn't play hard, tell them they played hard, but at least tell them you're proud of them for going out there and competing.
100%, man. One game in high school, I scored 30 points. It was actually against FRA. I had 30 points.
Yeah.
And after the game, and I like showboated a little bit after like one of my shots.
Mm-hmm.
And my dad, after the game, we had won. My dad was like pissed off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, why is dad mad at me? And I asked my mom, he goes, just go talk to him. And my dad was like, did you talk to the referee? Did you talk to the referee? Were you talking to the referee? I go, no, sir, I wasn't. I just like looked at our student section and like basically like smiled or like did a shimmy or something. It was a shimmy. I'll be honest with you. It was a shimmy. And he goes, okay. I believe you, Nate. I believe you, Nate. I thought you did it to the referee or to one of their players. I go, no, if you can watch the film, like he was on my back. The player was on my back. Like I didn't do it at the player at all. I was just doing it at our student section. He's like, okay. I was very disappointed for a little while because I thought you had downgraded or basically made your opponent look less than you or the referee look less than you. And I was like, dang, like that's what my dad cared most about. Is just like family name, how you carry yourself, less than winning. Now he was proud, like he was competitive now. So he wanted me to compete. So that's a lot of where I got it from. But just how you carried yourself, and basically on my empower tip was like character wins. And my dad was huge on character wins. So
yeah, my dad always told me, he said, look, he said, when you step on that court, you be a dog, but as soon as you step off that court, you be a gentleman. He said, I don't care, on that court, anything goes. You be a dog, but as soon as you step off, you be a gentleman.
So Danny D tips are: 1, be a dog on that court; 2, be a gentleman off.
I only got one technical too. My whole basketball career. I only ever got one technical.
I got 2. I got 1 in high school.
I was too scared, not of my dad, just of literally being benched for the rest of the season. I was terrified of getting.
I got 2 in high school. 1 I deserved, and the other one I threw a pass and then I ran in bounds, and the ref just decided we were up by 40 points and decided to give me a technical. I didn't deserve that one. And I'm very upfront when I deserve technicals. And then the other one was at NJIT, but I digress. So Asa, what is
IT technical.
it was when I had my first block basically of my career and they called a foul on me. It was on
Was that
Damon
sophomore
Lynn.
year?
Yes, I blocked Damon Lynn and on a three, we were up like seven or 8 with like 40 seconds left. I blocked him on a three. They called a foul on me. Now, I earned that technical, however, because I am not advocating for this, guys, but I may or may not have been talking to the ref earlier in the game
Yeah.
in a way that was downgraded. So I definitely earned that one. Not on that play. I definitely blocked the guy. I'll be the first to tell you if I fouled. I fouled a lot in college, but not on that play. And they called a foul, and I went, oh my goodness. And I like kind of threw my hands up and started walking to the bench because it was my fifth foul and teed me up. So
That was a big win for us. That was actually one of the few games that I scored in college. I think that was a pretty big win for us.
yeah, it was definitely a big win because then we went to Stetson right after that, and
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell the whole story, but anyway, so we won that game too. But so Asa, so we just talked about how a parent could negatively impact the team or their kid, and we kind of got off track, and we talked about a lot of positives too. But what is a positive example that you have had about a parent impacting the player or the team in return?
Yeah. I mean, am I allowed to say my dad?
100%. That's an example.
I mean, I would say my parents, dude. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, we're not here to call nobody out or anything, but I mean, dude, my parents were awesome every step of the way.
Mm-hmm.
They were supportive. They were loving. My dad would tell me when I was wrong, when I wasn't playing hard, if I was off or something. So I mean, I would say my parents, dude, they were great. They really were. And I, got where I was because of them. And they were supportive every step of the way, like I said. So, I mean, I would say my parents, man, I think they are prime examples of how you should be towards your kid that is playing any sport, that is competing in any way, shape, or form.
So I hate that you said that because that was going to be my example. Your
Yeah,
parents, no,
go ahead.
seriously, when you weren't playing in college, there was not one bad word that was going to ever be said from your parents.
Yeah, I'm all right. Cool. I'm glad you. Yeah, thank you for saying that because there really wasn't. I don't think there was,
There wasn't.
and oftentimes, I feel I have no shame in bragging on my parents. Oftentimes, you hear negative things from parents whose kids aren't
Mm-hmm.
playing, and maybe we should have touched on that earlier.
No, that's what we're talking about.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what the negative part was about. Now we're
yeah,
talking about the positive.
yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, seriously, props to them because they understood. They knew not to get in the way. That it was they weren't playing. They couldn't do anything but sit there and be supportive. And so when parents start saying, when you start bashing the coach, like to other parents and stuff, because your kid isn't playing. First of all, we started winning, right? So we
Yeah.
started winning. Like you look crazy if you're complaining to your coach about your kid not playing when the team is winning, right? Like
Yes.
that's not cool whatsoever.
And there was a time, and I'm not going to say high school, college, middle school, whatever, where there was a parent that would like talk to my parents about it and just like about how their kid should be playing more and blah blah blah. And it's like we're winning. We're having a lot of success. Like
Yeah.
we won a championship at some form or level.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I mean, I agree. It's silly at that point because it's just viewing it as selfishness.
Yeah.
And it's not and from a parent's perspective, let's be honest, it's not selfishness. You're looking out for somebody else, your kid, but
But
it
are
is
you really
not.
looking out? But are you really looking out for him if it's not warranted or if it's a baseless accusation? Right? I mean,
Sure.
yeah.
I understand. But yeah, anyway, going off of what your parents, I've been around Mr. Danny D and Miss Paula enough where if we were talking about basketball, it was always about positive. It was like, how's the team looking?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how are you doing? How are your hips doing? How's your shoulder doing? How's this? And they were more interested in caring about me more than anything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we were roommates for 4 years, and it was always like my dad said this, and it was a positive. My mom
Mm-hmm.
said this, positive. And I obviously know your parents more than the audience knows our parents
Mm-hmm.
or knows your parents, but they were always that way. I mean,
Yeah.
every single story you could possibly tell, I would back it up and be like, I guarantee that's 100% true.
Yeah, and we got really lucky at Lipscomb too, because we had a group
Mhm.
of parents who were they thoroughly enjoyed being around each other, right? They enjoyed traveling together.
Marberries, corns, oh gosh, Marberries, Rig, the ones that came to every single game. I'm gonna
Oh,
say their name
yeah,
wrong.
Rajanti.
Rajanti,
Yeah,
them,
yeah.
um,
And
corns. I
unfortunately,
mean,
that's not really commonplace in most college basketball
it's
teams. But,
not.
but we got really lucky
Mhm.
from that perspective. No doubt.
100%. I would say that group of parents is the best parents you could possibly have as a coach to
Yeah,
have like watching your game. I mean, they traveled everywhere, Asa.
yeah,
Like our
yeah,
parents traveled everywhere and they were always sportive. They always hung out with each other. So
yeah.
I completely agree. But
And that kind of trickled down to us, right? Like, I mean, it was
yes,
the players enjoyed each other, the parents enjoyed each other, and kudos to Casey because he created that culture. Like,
yeah,
right, that's him. So
120%.
there's he's got a way. I mean, that's all him, man. He created that thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Asa, what is your last minute of advice?
Ooh, last minute of advice. Okay, so I was watching. This. It just came out on Netflix recently. This documentary called The Social Dilemma. It's like an hour and a half long,
Mhm.
and it got me thinking about like it's pretty eye opening. First of all, about social media and the background of it and the intent and things of that nature. But it got me thinking about athletes and young athletes specifically, and them getting into social media at a young age. And now the high profile kids, they got millions of followers before they're 18 years old.
Yeah.
And just be careful out there with all that stuff. Be careful. It's social media is not a reflection of real life. It's really not.
Mhm.
And so just if you're young, be careful. Just be careful with social media because it is a double-edged sword in every sense of the phrase.
Gosh, that needed to be said. And we could have a whole podcast or even series about that. But goodness,
Yeah,
that
if you haven't checked out The Social Dilemma on Netflix, go watch it because it is very eye-opening. But seriously, to any athlete out there, any young kid, just be careful because coaches pay attention to it. People you don't even know are paying attention to it and
yeah,
watching what you say and what you do. And
even even your likes. I mean, now
yeah,
you have to be careful what you're liking and what you're
mhm.
retweeting and everything else like that. But
Yeah. And just
anyway,
be careful how much stock you put into it because if
yeah,
you're out here and you're doing everything is what's my Twitter looking like, what's my Instagram looking like, just don't stay away from it as much as you can. Don't hoist it up on this pedestal because that's not what it is. It's fun, but that's not what it is at all.
I completely agree with you guys. Um, mine's gonna tie into this podcast a little bit, and my last minute of advice is quote central.
You got
So
a French politician for us today?
Italian.
Oh,
Italian. It says everything negative, pressure, challenges are all an opportunity for me to rise. The
mhm.
Italian politician, Kobe Bryant. I got you there. I got you there.
That was
So
good.
everything negative, pressure, or challenges are all an opportunity for me to rise. And Kobe Bryant is the 100% best example that you can possibly look to. Like he
Yeah,
didn't play in his first couple of years in the NBA and
yeah,
then worked his tail off from year one to year, however many he played, and is one of the top 10 best players of all time.
yep,
I mean,
yep.
and maybe I did him a disservice by even saying that.
Hmm.
So, I mean, that being said, if you're a player, coach, parent, no matter what these pressure challenges are presenting, allow your kid to rise as a player, allow it to make you rise as a coach. If you get fired, allow it to make you rise. So
Yeah.
that is my last minute of advice.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Yeah, dude, you made some great points. You made some incredible points. So hopefully this is some good stuff and people can take something from it.
Yeah, and your stories were phenomenal, Asa. Once again, I am very appreciative for your parents and your whole family in general. Shout out Lacey too. I kind of left out the one other one. So shout out Lacey.
Oh yeah. All right, man. Well, hey, y'all know the deal. If you love it, tell your family and friends. If you hate it, tell everybody.
100%. All right, guys. Well, I appreciate you guys tuning in this week to the Mind of a Coach podcast. You can find us on Twitter at Mind of a Coach 1. You can find us on Instagram at Mind of a Coach. And we actually just started a Facebook page as well. You can find us on Facebook. We're our username is Mind of a Coach. If not, you can go to Asa and I's Facebook, and you can kind of find a link through there. But we appreciate you guys tuning in, and we are very excited to see you guys next week.
See y'all.